Hello, how's it going? In this video, we're going to be solving this particular integral. So this integral has appeared all over Facebook, and it basically says whatever this integral evaluates to, the first 8 digits are the Wi-Fi password for a particular place. So on the thumbnail, you'll probably see the picture that I'm actually talking about. But yeah, let's solve this and find the Wi-Fi password. Okay, so first off, all we're going to do, this is quite a very big integral. We're going to solve this integral by not using that much calculus at all. And I know you're thinking, how are you going to do no calculus with this huge integral? It's got a cubic, it's got a cos, and it's got this weird looking thing here. But it's actually not as hard as you think it is. So first off, all we're going to do is just change how our integral looks on the inside. So we're going to distribute this square root of 4 minus x squared. So we're going to have basically the integral from negative 2 to 2 x cubed cos of x over 2. That's going to be multiplied by the square root of 4 minus x squared plus a half over the square root of 4 minus x squared dx. Okay? Now what we can do now is basically split this integral up because we have an addition sign here now. So we can break this whole thing into two integrals. So we can have the first integral from negative 2 to 2, x cubed cos of x squared, x over 2, multiplied by 4 minus x squared dx, plus the integral from negative 2 to 2 of a half of the square root of 4 minus x squared dx. Now we can take this constant here out the front door because it doesn't really matter if we evaluate the integral with the constant on the inside or we multiply it later. It's pretty much just factorizing. So we can take this half and put it out the front of our integral. So we'll just move this integral sign a bit closer. So I'll have it there. And then we have plus, and then we have our half here. Now all we're going to do now is basically, alright, we're just going to make this whole thing a bit smaller so we have enough room to write some more stuff. So just select this whole thing and move that there. I'm going to select this whole thing and just, whoopsie daisy. Select that and move it up here. Now all we're going to do is take a look at this function here. So this is the function f of x is equal to the square root of 4 minus x squared. Now, what does this function look like if we graph it? So if we want to find the x-intercepts, that's when y equals 0. So we have 0 is equal to square root of 4 minus x squared. So therefore, when we evaluate that, we're going to get x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 4. So we're going to have x is equal to negative 2 or x is equal to positive 2. Okay? So if we have a Cartesian graph here, we're going to have a x-intercept here and x-intercept here. And then if we want a y-intercept, we just set x is equal to 0. So therefore our y-intercept is y is equal to 2. So we have up here. Now you can see this is a semicircle. So f of x is actually a semicircle, or half a circle with a radius of 2. Because you can see this point here is 0, 2. This point here is negative 2, 0. And this point here is 2, 0. So what we're actually finding here with this integral, when we have the integral from negative 2 to 2 over our function f of x, where f of x is the square root of 4 minus x squared, we're actually finding the area of half a circle. Now recall the area of a circle is pi r squared, but we're trying to find half of it. So this integral here is actually pi multiplied by the radius divided by 2. Now the radius of the semicircle is 2, so we actually have pi over 2 or squared over 2. Now we can't forget we have this half out the front here, so we also need to multiply that by a half. So that simplifies down to 4 pi over 4, so we just get pi. So this whole integral here is just equal to pi. Okay? So we didn't integrate it at all. We just used basic common knowledge about our function here, and we recognized it's half a circle, and then we already used an existing formula to evaluate it. So we didn't need to do any calculus at all for that bit there. So now that we got that out of the way, let's just move all of this to the side for a bit. Put that there. Oh, forgot there we go. Alright, cool. So now that we've evaluated this bit, so this whole bit here is already gone. So we can just do that pretty much, and that's just pi. Now how do we evaluate this second part? So we have this integral from -2 to 2 of x cubed cos of x over 2 multiplied by 4 minus x squared dx. Now all we're going to do to evaluate this integral is we're actually just going to work out if this whole function is even or odd. Because if we work that out, then we can evaluate this integral really easily. So x cubed is an odd function, isn't it? So an odd function is basically a function that reflects over the line y equals -x. So this function here, x cubed, looks something like this. And this is the line y equals -x. So you can see it reflects over the line y equals -x. So by definition, x cubed is an odd function. Now, cos is also an odd function. So if we just draw cos onto this axis here, we're going to have actually no, cos isn't an odd function. Cos is, I believe, I think cos is cos over x over 2 standard. Let me just double check something real quick, sorry guys. Alright, so cos, is it an odd or even function? It's going to be pretty much, it's going to be an even function because it reflects over just the y-axis pretty much. So cos of x over 2 is an even function. Okay? And we know what this function here looks like. This one's an even function too. It reflects over here. Now, if you have an even function times an even function, you get another even function. So these two functions here, if we didn't have the x cubed, that'd be an even function. So that product there is an even function, but we also have an odd function, and we know if an odd function times an even function gives us an odd function. So therefore, this whole function we're integrating is an odd function. Now, what does an odd function mean? So an odd function, if you're integrating, so let's just take a look at x cubed again. So x cubed, we know is an odd function. It reflects over the line y equals -x. So an odd function, basically, since it has this reflective property, if we were to find the area from, let's say, the bound A and the bound here, -a, this area would be equal to this area here, but this value here would be negative, and this value here would be positive. So if you integrate from -a to a of an odd function, dx, you're going to get 0, because this area this cumulative value here will cancel out this value here. Now, since this whole function here is an odd function and we're integrating from -2 to 2, which are the same number with different signs, this whole integral here is just going to be 0. So this whole term here goes bye-bye and turns to 0. So therefore, our integral for our Wi-Fi password from -2 to 2 of x cubed cos of x over 2 plus half square root of 4 minus x squared. When you evaluate this integral, it gives you the Wi-Fi password. That whole thing evaluates just to pi. So the first 8 digits of pi is the Wi-Fi password. Pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. See ya.